Beyonce for sure. I love her. Like I love Beyonce. Jay-Z too. I really admire the both.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup.
Wait, let me say that again so it lands right. According to unconfirmed reports that are spreading faster than anyone can shut them down, Jay-Z is now the main suspect in the shooting at Rihanna's home, and investigators are reportedly looking at him closely enough that a court summons or even an arrest could drop at any moment. This is the same case where a 35-year-old woman named Ivana Lisette Ortiz pulled up to a Beverly Crest mansion on a Sunday afternoon, raised a semi-automatic rifle, and fired round after round into a property where 3 children were present, ages 5 months to 3 years old. The same case where Rihanna herself was inside an Airstream trailer with ASAP Rocky sleeping next to her, bullets punching through the front gate, the exterior wall, a parked vehicle, and the windshield of the trailer she was standing behind seconds earlier. And the question that makes this whole thing impossible to shake is very simple. Was Ivana Ortiz a stalker who finally lost control, or was she a hired gun doing a job for one of the most powerful men in music?
They can't do this. They can't do this. What about my hands? What about these fingers over here? What about these 3 fingers? What about it? What about it? No, you're not here. You're rebuked. And even if you're here, there are many in this realm. There are many in this realm, and you are rebuked, and Jesus is the King, and you're just kicking and screaming on your way out and perishing. It's embarrassing.
Here is what we know for sure, and I want to get this down first because the rest gets weird fast. Ortiz was arrested less than 1 hour after the shooting, found at the Sherman Oaks Galleria with the rifle and extra magazines still in her possession. She is facing 14 charges, including attempted homicide, with bail set at $1,875,000, a number so high the judge denied a request to lower it to just $70,000. The prosecutor, Alexander Bott, stood in court and said she plotted the attack in advance and fired roughly 20 rounds into a residential neighborhood, and that her actions could have easily resulted in multiple homicides. That is the official record. That is not rumor. That is a judge agreeing that this woman is a threat to public safety. But here is where the official record stops being helpful. Investigators still say the motive is under investigation. They have no answer for why. And that silence, that empty space where a reason should be, is exactly where the conspiracy has taken root and refuses to fade. Now stop there for a second. 20 rounds, an assault rifle, extra magazines, a drive from Florida to Los Angeles, a specific target, a specific address, a specific time of day when Rihanna was known to be home with her children. That is not impulsive. That is not a woman who wandered onto the wrong property and panicked. That is a mission. And yet, when police asked Ortiz what she had to say, she gave them one sentence. 1. I would like to say that I wasn't attempting to harm someone. So, a woman who fired 20 rounds into an occupied home with children inside, who hit the Airstream windshield directly in front of where Rihanna had been standing, told investigators she was not trying to harm anyone. So what are we supposed to do with that? Either she is lying through her teeth, or she is genuinely delusional, or she was following orders and the person who gave them told her exactly what to say when she got caught. None of those options make this case feel clean.
Genius.
Beyonce.
Gorgeous. A stab to my self-esteem.
Now let me walk you through what Rihanna herself told police, because this is where the official story starts to bend in ways that feel genuinely strange. According to the police report made public on March 25th, Rihanna was inside the Airstream trailer on her property when she suddenly heard approximately 10 loud sounds like something banging on metal. She realized the banging was gunfire. She looked out and saw bullet holes in the windshield directly in front of where she had been standing seconds earlier. She grabbed Rocky out of bed, told him they were being shot at, pushed both of them to the ground, and then ran into the main house to check on her children. Her mother was there, staff members were there, neighbors were there. 10 people total, including 3 children under the age of 4. And when police asked Rihanna if she knew of any recent event that could have triggered this attack, she told them she could not think of a single one. That by itself would already be strange, right? A woman with Rihanna's security team, her legal resources, her history of restraining orders against stalkers, says nothing happened recently that would explain why someone drove across the country to shoot up her home. But here is where it gets genuinely uncomfortable. The Epstein files were released weeks before the shooting. Millions of pages of documents, including phone logs, including FBI intake reports, including names that the public had never seen connected to that scandal before. And in those files, Rihanna's name appears in Jeffrey Epstein's call logs, not as an accusation of wrongdoing, not as evidence of a crime, but as a fact. Epstein called her, or someone in his network called her. The Department of Justice has said the presence of a name in those logs does not establish anything criminal, but the timing, the proximity, the question that now hangs over everything, is impossible to ignore. You have a shooting. You have a victim who says nothing recent happened. You have documents released weeks earlier that put that victim inside Epstein's orbit. That is not proof of anything, but it is also not nothing.
As we've seen dozens of new photos we haven't seen before of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell with very high-profile people, celebrities, people like Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson, like you showed, also like British royalty and actors. All of that we sort of knew was happening. I want to highlight specifically two for the public interest, and that is President Clinton and President.
So here is where we are. A woman with a documented history of posting angry messages about Rihanna on social media, false claims about the singer's health, demands for direct contact. A woman with prior arrests in Florida for domestic violence and careless driving drove to Beverly Hills and shot up a mansion. That is the stalker frame. That is what the evidence of her online behavior supports. But the same woman told police she was not trying to commit a homicide after firing 20 rounds into an occupied home. The same woman had no known personal connection to Rihanna, no documented grudge that would explain why she escalated from angry Facebook posts to an assault rifle. The same woman, according to unconfirmed reports that keep surfacing no matter how many times officials refuse to confirm them, told detectives something else entirely while she was in custody. Something that changes the whole picture, and this is the part that really matters, so I want to be careful with it. The rumor, and I am going to say this clearly so there is no confusion, is still a rumor. But the rumor is that Ortiz told investigators Jay-Z paid her $20,000 to pull the trigger. The rumor attributes this knowledge to ASAP Rocky, who was inside the Airstream when the bullets hit, who is Rihanna's partner and the father of her children, and who is also signed to Roc Nation, Jay-Z's label. Think about that position for a second. Rocky is lying on the ground next to Rihanna, bullets hitting the trailer, his children in the next building, and according to these unconfirmed reports, he already knows why. He already knows who sent her. And if that is true, then the shooting stops being a random act of violence by a disturbed individual and becomes something else entirely. It becomes a message. It becomes a silencing attempt. It becomes a conspiracy with Rocky stuck in the middle between his family and his boss. Now look at what else came out of those Epstein files, because this is where the pattern starts to feel less like coincidence. Jay-Z's name appears in unverified FBI tips within the released documents, including an allegation from a caller who claimed to have woken up in what she believed was Epstein's Florida mansion with Jay-Z present. Again, these are unverified tips. The Department of Justice has explicitly warned that the files contain material that may be fake or falsely submitted. Jay-Z has not been charged with any crime related to these allegations. I want to be very clear about that. But here is what keeps nagging at me. You have a shooter with no clear personal motive. You have a victim whose name appears in Epstein's call logs. You have a powerful industry figure whose name appears in Epstein-related FBI tips. You have unconfirmed reports that the shooter named that figure as the person who sent her. And you have investigators who still say, weeks later, that the motive is under investigation. That is a lot of smoke for a fire that supposedly does not exist.
But there are people who have been indicted in the public space, and it hasn't been true. And so I think Jay-Z's tone was exactly. But see, I saw Puffy say the same, and then a video came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The prosecutor in this case said Ortiz is a threat to public safety, that she plotted the attack in advance, that she could have caused serious harm to multiple people. The judge agreed, denying bail reduction and keeping Ortiz locked up. Her professional license to practice speech-language pathology has already been revoked by the California board at the request of the Attorney General. The system is moving. Consequences are landing on Ortiz. But the central question, the one that makes this story feel like it is still in its first act, has not been answered. Why did she do it? Why Rihanna? Why then? Why with that much firepower, that much preparation, that little regard for the children sleeping nearby? And if she was just a stalker, why does the official motive remain a mystery weeks after her arrest? Here is what I keep coming back to. The official answer is still under investigation. The unofficial answer, the one spreading through social media, through comment sections, through the kind of whispers that do not go away just because no one will confirm them, is that Rihanna was a liability. That her name in Epstein's call logs meant she knew something. That someone with everything to lose decided she could not be allowed to become a problem. And that the woman holding the rifle was not a stalker who got lucky, but a soldier who got caught. That is the theory. That is what people are saying. And the reason it sticks is not because the evidence is conclusive. It sticks because the alternative explanation, a random stalker with no real motive who drove across the country and fired 20 rounds into a celebrity home, does not feel complete either. So where does that leave us? Ortiz is still in custody, still facing life in prison, still able to flip, to talk, to trade information for a lighter sentence. The Epstein files are still being reviewed, with millions of pages that have not been fully examined. And Jay-Z, according to those unconfirmed reports, is still the main suspect, still facing the possibility that at any moment, a court summons or an arrest could turn this whole thing from a rumor into a front-page disaster. The question is not whether the conspiracy theory exists. It is whether the documents, the witnesses, and the shooter herself will eventually prove it was never a theory at all. And until someone in charge gives us a real answer, we are just left watching and waiting for the next piece of this thing to break.
I hear that you're a big fan of Beyonce.
Here is where the machinery of the case starts to show its cracks. The prosecutor stood in court and told the judge that Ortiz fired roughly 20 rounds. That is what he said. That is on the record. But police only recovered 7 casings from the scene. 7. Neighbors reported hearing approximately 10 shots. So which number is real? 20, 10, or 7? Those are not the same thing. That is not a rounding difference. That is a gap wide enough to drive an entire investigation through. Either the prosecutor was making a legal argument designed to maximize the threat, numbers be damned, or the physical evidence is incomplete, or someone is not telling the full story. And when the official record cannot agree with itself this early, you have to ask what else is being held back, what other details have been stretched or compressed to fit a particular version of events. Now look at how fast the system moved on everything except the motive. Within weeks of the shooting, the California Board of Speech-Language Pathology revoked Ortiz's license at the request of the state attorney general. She had held that license since April 2016. It was not set to expire until June 2027. That is a career. That is a life built over more than a decade. And the board did not wait for a conviction. They did not wait for a trial. They acted preemptively, signaling that regardless of what happens in the criminal case, she is already finished. The system can coordinate that quickly when it wants to. But the motive? Still under investigation. Still a mystery. Weeks later. So the same institutions that moved overnight to destroy her professional future cannot tell us why she pulled the trigger. That is not efficiency. That is selectivity. And selectivity always makes you wonder what is being protected on the other side.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
Let me take you somewhere that does not get nearly enough air. The legal web around this case is not random. It is tight. A SAP Rocky was represented in 2025 by an attorney named Joe Tacopina. Tacopina has been a recurring guest on a celebrity gossip program hosted by Harvey Levin, and Harvey Levin was named in the Epstein files as a good friend of Epstein. That is not speculation. That is a public record. Tacopina is also part of a legal network that includes Alex Spiro, who is currently defending Jay-Z's ROC Nation. Spiro's career traces from representing Harvey Weinstein to his current role as Jay-Z's primary counsel. And Epstein himself, before his time in custody, sought out Spiro after corresponding with a former Obama White House counsel. Every name touches the next name. Epstein to Spiro to Tacopina to Rocky to ROC Nation to the shooting. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a documented trail of professional relationships. And the question is not whether they know each other. The question is what flows through those connections, and whether anyone in that chain knew about a plan to silence someone who appeared in Epstein's phone logs. Wait, let me pull on Rocky's position again because it is genuinely uncomfortable. He is signed to Roc Nation. Jay-Z is his boss. His career, his label support, his industry standing, all of it flows through the same man who, according to unconfirmed reports, is the target of this investigation. And Rocky was inside the Airstream when the bullets hit. He was lying on the ground next to Rihanna. His children were in the next building. So what does he do now? Does he stay loyal to the label that made him? Does he distance himself to protect his family? Does he know something that he has not said publicly? And if the rumor is true, that the $20,000 payment was attributed to his knowledge, then he is not just a witness. He is a source. He is someone who allegedly told investigators what he knew. That puts him directly in the crossfire, not from a weapon, but from the kind of industry pressure that does not leave visible marks. You do not have to threaten someone openly when you control their next album, their tour, their entire future.
So why do you think Epstein became almost like the central figure for all of this corrupt global elite meta cartel?
Well, he's just a microcosm of it, really. But I think
is it his own
he became too exposed, I think, especially after his first arrest. And as he described that he became radioactive, but he had, before been able to move through all these different...
Here is another layer that shifts the whole picture. The conspiracy angle does not live in state court. It lives in federal territory. The Epstein files are federal. The FBI tips are federal. The questions about silencing, about witness networks, about patterns of intimidation, those are federal questions. And federal cases move differently. They take longer. They are harder to influence. They also carry more weight. If the FBI is already looking at Jay-Z's name in those files, if they are already connecting dots between the shooting and the Epstein release, then the state case against Ortiz is just the opening act. The main event, the one that could actually bring down a billionaire, has not even started yet. That gap between what the state can do to a 35-year-old woman and what the feds might do to someone with unlimited legal resources is where the real tension lives. And it means that even if Ortiz is convicted tomorrow, the story is nowhere near over. Let me go back to the Epstein files again because people keep skimming past the weirdest part. The release of those documents was not a leak. It was a mandated Transparency Act. Millions of pages dumped into the public domain, and among those pages were FBI crisis intake reports from 2019, originating from calls made to the National Threat Operations Center. One of those reports names Jay-Z in an allegation describing an incident from approximately 1996. The caller claimed to have been incapacitated and then woke up in what she believed was Epstein's Florida mansion while someone else assaulted her, with Jay-Z present. Another submission named Pusha T, an artist signed to Roc Nation, as a handler who helped establish friendships with victims. The Department of Justice has been explicit that these are raw, unverified tips that may include fake or falsely submitted material. Jay-Z has not been charged, but the existence of these tips, combined with the shooting, combined with the timing, creates an environment where silence is no longer a neutral position. It is evidence of something. We just do not know what yet.
And when it came to Maxwell, it was about the idea, right, they would bring these girls in and then they would have them recruit other girls, and that was kind of the network that was being built up. From a prosecutorial point of view, from a legal point of view, if somebody's looking at this and saying, wait a minute, I'm looking at these filings and they're identifying certain people or they're redacting certain other people, and they say, there's not enough evidence to charge this person, or limited evidence regarding involvement. What does that mean? So for a layperson.
Now think about the shooter's behavior through a different lens. A stalker, even a deeply troubled one, usually wants something from the target. Attention, recognition, a reaction. They post manifestos, they leave messages. They want the victim to know who is hurting them and why. Ortiz did none of that. She drove up, fired 20 rounds into a crowded property, and tried to leave. No statement to the media, no manifesto, no social media posts taking credit. Just a single sentence to police. I wasn't attempting to harm someone. That is not stalker behavior. That is operator behavior. That is someone who was either following orders or operating under a framework where explanations are not required because the person who sent her already knows why. And that silence, that refusal to perform the usual rituals of the obsessed fan, is one of the strongest signals that this case is not what it looks like on the surface. The system has a funny way of handling people with power. When the answer is simple, they give it quickly. When the answer is complicated, they investigate. When the answer might bring down someone important, they investigate slowly. And right now, the investigation into Ortiz's motive is moving at a crawl. Weeks after the shooting, after the arrest, after the arraignment, after the license revocation, the LAPD still says the motive is under investigation. That is not a status update. That is a placeholder. And placeholders exist for one reason, because the real answer is not ready to be spoken yet. Either they have nothing, which seems unlikely given the volume of evidence, or they have something that they cannot talk about without tipping off a larger target. And if it is the second one, then the silence is not a failure of the investigation. It is a feature of it.
It's in my heart and it's in my vitality, and I'm very, very grateful to you for your abundant graces. Listen, Rihanna, when you God is taking me to my future, you want to shut up, okay? Shut up. Yeah, she's a witch. She's a witch. I'm a watchman. She's a witch. Get that stupid girl out of here, okay?
So let me bring this back, because the pressure has only gotten heavier. According to those same unconfirmed reports, Jay-Z is still the main suspect. Investigators are reportedly looking at him closely enough that a court summons or an arrest could still happen at any moment. That has not gone away. If anything, it has gotten more plausible. Because now we know about the federal layer. Now we know about the legal web connecting Epstein to ROC Nation. Now we know about the pattern that people like Jaguar Wright were describing months before any of this happened. Now we know that the official investigation has gaps, contradictions, and a silence that feels less like procedure and more like containment. The question is no longer just whether Jay-Z was involved. The question is whether the system, with all its selectivity and all its slow walking, will actually hold anyone accountable if he was.
I mean, why waste my time?
And sometimes you respond to something that brings way more attention to it, too.
That too, and it's just, it goes into another space, and then you just like, oh, y'all not listening to me.
Right. But then you'll have somebody that'll say to you.
Ortiz is still in custody, facing life in prison, but she is also the only person who can connect the shooter to the alleged paymaster. If she flips, if she talks, if she trades information for a lighter sentence, the whole conspiracy case solidifies overnight. If she stays silent, the mystery deepens and the official investigation stays stuck. The Epstein files are still being reviewed, with millions of pages that have not been fully examined. And the man at the center of the rumor is still free, still powerful, still reportedly facing the possibility that any phone call could change everything. So what do you honestly think happens next? Does Ortiz eventually talk, or does she take the full sentence to protect someone else? And if she does talk, how long before the people at the top of that legal web start looking very nervous? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We are going to keep watching this one. More soon.